The problem with logic is that it's not always reality. Objectivity, logic, common sense are all fallacies as an inherent truth because everybody is doing something that is logical or objective or common sense to them. And where this gets really interesting is that autistic people, we often think we're being just logical too, but our logic threatens organizational systems that aren't consistent because we also notice pattern recognition, and a lot of these logical decisions backfire on each other. I research the unwritten rules of work, and I frequently talk on here about how professionalism is not neutral. It is a very narrow set of cultural norms that favor the elite and everyone else has to follow. And what makes them so powerful is how many of us have been convinced that that's just the way things are. And that's how the dominant class keeps their power. By convincing everyone that professionalism is just speaking indirectly and not getting to the point or beating around the bush and handling people with kid gloves. That some people can be assertive, but other people are considered aggressive when they say the same thing. And those things aren't inherent truths. They're not universal and global around the world in all societies. They're not just in our DNA and everybody evolved that same way. If it was the case, we would all be happier at work. But all of those things can be perceived as logical to someone who believes them. So, for example, indirect communication is not logical to most autistic people. The autistic logic is, if you want something, just tell me. Playing guessing games wastes everybody's time, and time is literally money at work. So, like, why are you costing yourself money to not tell me what you want? The dominant class logic can be, but this is what helps me keep customers. This is how I attract people to work here who are more like me. But this makes me more comfortable. But I'm worried if there's anything else that people will be aggressive. In this case, the autistic approach is more efficient, but it strips away the power games that indirect communication maintains. For some people, the same behaviors are considered standing up for yourself, while for other people, they're considered aggressive. Autistic people often call out inconsistencies. A characteristic of autism is pattern recognition. So when you notice the pattern is not consistent, you talk about it. And this is often labeled as very aggressive. So an autistic person might say, you said we value honesty here, but you're mad when I bring up a flaw in the plan. And you said you hired me for my expertise, but it's not being considered. But the logic of that rule to someone in the upper class is that it protects the feelings and the egos of those in power. Autistic people don't know that you're supposed to pretend that the emperor has clothes on. Neurotypical people have learned that you're supposed to say, wow, the outfit looks great. So when an autistic person often gets labeled as difficult or not a team player, it's because their logic is threatening the logic of someone who is seeing how to keep their power in place. So in this case, logic can become a weapon, where the dominant class can dismiss direct or indirect communicators based on what suits their power. Each rule protects the person in power while having the facade of being neutral. So whenever someone says something is just common sense, or it's objective, or it's logical, they're signaling, whether intentional or not, that they haven't considered anybody else's needs or motives. They're making the case to you on why it benefits them and trying to play it off as this is just the way things are. As I often say, a lot of things that we attribute biology to are not biological. It's biological that we all walk on 2 feet. It's not biological that how we communicate directly or indirectly. That is cultural. And who decides which communication style gives you access to security and safety and money is also cultural. I have a book coming out on all of this, on all of the unwritten rules and how this varies for class, race, gender, and neurodivergence. You can get a free chapter in the link in my bio.